Hey everyone! After talking about the transactions, overall, the model itself and the stuff like that, we created this little class, which basically does nothing, it just contains those properties, and that's it all. So what we will be doing right now is, before we start writing the logic, we are going to have some methods and some encapsulations for those properties here, so we can better create this object and update the values inside. Something like, it's related to the concept of domain-driven development, but that's not fully, we are not leveraging it to the limits, because I'm still not a big fan of that, but we are going to have a better result than the absurd wallet method. Like right now here we have this wallet, which is everything just free, so we are here able to edit any method the way we want, any property the way we want. We are going to have this here more controlled, and then later on we are going to refactor this absurd wallet before we push to production, before we upload or publish our project. So for this video we are going to improve this transaction class and make it ready so we can start writing create the repos to submit the data to the database, to our Azure CosmosdB database, and also write the logic of the absurd transaction, which is going to be a very interesting function, let's say, that's going to be a little bit challenging. It contains some advanced stuff. So the first thing I will start with is, we told in the previous video GitHub Copilot to add JSON property name for our properties, and actually I made a mistake with that, because I've added the JSON property name, which is associated with the system.text.json, but actually the CosmosDB SDK is using Newtonsoft.json, so this doesn't work. We need to use the Newtonsoft.json. This is just a small modification, and to define the name of the property in the Newtonsoft.json, we use the JSON property, not the JSON property name. So all we have to do is click Ctrl-H and replace every JSON property name with JSON property. Hit replace all, and we are done. That's great. So that's the first thing. The second thing I noticed that is, I forget about to add the wallet ID. So we just need to proceed and add the wallet ID, and we add JSON property, and it is wallet ID. Okay, cool. This is all the mistakes. First, we started by cleaning them up. The next thing I will be doing is, let's resolve. We're not going to create the transaction using a constructor, but I'm just going to create a constructor here just to satisfy some JSON operations like the deserialization, stuff like that. And inside it, I'm going to fill the ID with a new GUID, and I will set all the data that is not null here. So basically the user ID, I'm going to set it a string.empty for this moment. User ID here equals string.empty, and what else? Category equals string.empty, and we have the wallet ID, sorry, which is also string. Come on. Great. So this is it. So right now we can just say new transaction, create a transaction from wherever we want to use it, but we don't want that. So we will be controlling all the creation of, like, when we create a new property, we don't need to set the ID because it's set here already using, it's a new GUID. This is optional. This is required. We don't need to set this or this, or be able to do that from outside. Category, tags, attachments, user ID. Also user ID here, we don't need to set that from the outside because it's all with the year of the creation date plus the user ID. So if the user ID is like 333, then this one gonna be like 333-2023. So we will start by this first. So I'm going to mark this as private, and for this one, whenever we set this, we need to set the value of this. So what I'll be doing is I'll create a private field, call it user ID. Of course I need to give it a value because it's not null, and here I will change that to the full property shape instead of, so get, then in the set, sorry, it's a private set, because we don't need to be able to set this property directly from outside this class. So user ID equal the value, and then here we go, Copilot helped us detect that. So the user ID here, which is this property, right now it will be set automatically whenever we set the user ID, and it will be the new value of the user ID plus the year of the creation date, which is cool. This is the creation date. Okay, great. Cool. So right now we need to be able to control the creation of this object. We'll create a method called the create. It will be static, and it will assign those properties from inside this class. So we will set all of them to private. That's doing like that. Okay, or we can just use h. So every set we have, we will make it, I will add this to private set and replace all. Okay, great. We need to log automation. Sorry, for the new ones. Okay, I need to continue based because I should have done this from the beginning. Okay, great. That's cool. So right now everything is controllable. We cannot set anything from outside the class. If we say new, we will not be able to basically set any of those properties. So right now I will create a new static method and it will return a transaction. I will call it create, and inside it we will pass all the properties that we want to use to create. So we will start first. The most important property for us is wallet ID, string, then the user ID, which is right. Then we have the wallet, the user ID. We need, the amount, like that. Let me go in this shape. Then the category, we will start first, but then not nullable stuff. So then we need description, and I'm going to make this one like we give it a default value null, so the user doesn't have to fill this. We need to forget about this one. Then we will add basically the tags, which is also equals null. Then we have the attachments, also equals to null. So that's so great. Right now we have this method, so we can just make it like that. Transaction, that's correct. And we do like this. GitHub Copilot writes the code for us. That's cool. So we have it. Let's just double check that everything is just great. We said the ID is automatically set. Description, we have it, is income, amount. Creation and modification date is set. Okay, I need to fill out the modification date by default initially. It's not needed, but we will do that. So it is datetime.utc now. Okay, that's it. Cool. This is all what we need to do. Now for the create. Okay, the logic of create a transaction, for the update the transaction, we cannot update the wallet because if you want to update the wallet, that will have some consequences, let's say, on the flow of the app. So basically, if you want to create this transaction on another wallet, we can do some kind, or if you want to transfer this transaction, what we can do is basically like create another one, the same transaction in another wallet, and remove it from here. So we will not be able to basically, okay, I will add a method here called update, and let's talk about it. So inside the update, the first property we want to be able to update is if it's income, or of course we also cannot update the user. So the first property is income. The second property is amount and category. Then we have tags and attachments. So we do like this, and that's okay. That's a little bit crazy. Okay. I don't know my Copilot like this. Okay, that's great. So we have the update, and those are the only properties that we can actually update: the tags, the attachments, amount, and is income. So this gives more value, as you can see, like by using those methods instead of assigning those values from the outside in the Azure function. This keeps the logic of the app like a bit more control. Like you cannot set the modification date from outside, it's only from here, this is so great and will give us like a very, very big value. So let's see quickly how we can do that. So for example, just in this function, and this is a sample thing, we are not going to do. So transaction, or var transaction equals new transaction. So here you have two transactions. Okay, So as you can see, you cannot set any of those properties because they are all private set. So you cannot be able to do any of this. So to be able to create a transaction, you can just say transaction.create, and we can just pass those methods, which is so great. It will give us an instance, then we can insert that to the database, or we can also update. So this is very, very beneficial for us. Right now, the creation of the repo and the logic of the inserting transaction is the next thing that we are going to achieve, and that's going to be very, very interesting, as we are going to learn some advanced features in Azure Cosmos DB, and we are going to have some interesting logic to tackle inside the absurd transaction method. So this is everything for this session. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next video.